that's all good. And I'll tell you a little bit about what I've been doing, providing not a lot of people are on, because I don't want to hold things up. Back to you, Bob. Go ahead.
Yeah, much nicer, much nicer, Alan. It sounds very much more nicely balanced now. So just have a quick listen.
Appreciate that. I've just reduced it by about two points on the parametric equalizer. So it's back to where it was originally, I think. So that's all good. And I'll tell you a little bit about what I've been doing, providing not a lot of people are on, because I don't want to hold things up. Back to you.
Well, there we are, Alan. To my ear, that's really sounding very nice, Eva.
I think I'm very happy with it, actually. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Really, really good. Thank you. So I actually have a recording facility here, which now seems to be working okay. How good it is, I don't know. I've done a little bit of recording of all of you really in the last 4 or 5 minutes or so, and I'm very happy to play that back whenever it's convenient from G4GPL.
Yes, okay, Alan. Anyway, enough from me. Over to you, Nick, from G3MSL. Where's Nick gone?
Oh, sorry, I'm just grabbing a cup of tea. I'll be back short. Well, I'm here now, but I'm just getting sorted. Over.
Oh, okay. All right, you pick it up then, Dave, if you would, from G3MSL.
Yeah, G3MSL20TRF. I was listening carefully just then in case I could hear a snoring sound coming from Nick when he didn't come back. Anyway, in the intervening period, I have moved the TX shift back up to 100, so just to see, what you think of that. But there seems to be some sort of controversy between whether it should be 100 or 0. But there's not much else I can do with the audio with what I have here. Other than start, which I think that probably will be a disaster, other than using the EQ as well in the transceiver, and that's very basic. It either has an emphasis on top end bass, or from memory, it just does a flat thing. I mean, I haven't got the EQ in at all. I'm just trying. I can't even remember what memory number it is. I could have a little look. And switch it in as a dead flat one, but yeah, I don't know. But I almost get the impression, as I said, that the audio was better without the virtualizer coupled in. As I said, it's not switched on. It's out of the circuit, but nevertheless, or it's not switched on, if you like, but it's still in the circuit. But yeah, I could always disconnect it, another day and see what we got. But yeah, I'll put it back to you, Bob. G3MSL. Well, Nick might be back. I don't know. I'll put it around to Nick if he's there. M0AOV 20TRF.
No, I'm awake. It's okay, Dave. Don't worry. Dear. No, I was going to say, I don't think, I think we're sort of, slowly getting there, and I think this is as good as it was before, probably slightly better because you've now got a little bit of low in there, as well as the top. I think before it was, I say, we sort of had to compromise. And it's good articulate, sort of stronger mid-range emphasis. But now it's wider now, and you've got some brightness on that top end. What I would like to hear is your virtualizer. I know it seems to spend most of its time out of line. I would like to hear it. And are you actually using plate which effect are you using, Dave? Go ahead.
Right, while I'm discussing that, I will just chuck in the EQ on the radio as a flat one, just to see, but you'll probably say it's terrible. And to answer your question, it is on the flat plate, setting number 2 on my one. I don't know what it is on your one, it's number 2. But obviously I can alter the parameters of that. But anyway, there goes the EQ on the radio. I don't know what difference that makes, but let me know.
Yeah, turn it off, Dave.
Sorry, go again?
Yeah, say turn it off. It's you're emphasising the highs, and you've lost all the low end, and it wasn't good. As I say, it's better now than I think it's ever been. Over.
Okay, well then progress is being made. I can drop it back in again. Let's go to effect, just to confirm I'm not lying to you. Yeah, no, it's on number 2, which is play. Right, that is. I don't know what it should be on though. What it would have been as default. That's up as high as it goes. And if I wind it goes up to 32, and as I wind it down, I'm coming down there, it goes down to number 1. But whether or not you can hear any difference on the audio, I'll put it back up to 32. You know better than me.
What actually was it you were adjusting?
The variation. So what you've got is you select the effects that you want. And then you can vary, I suppose, the amount that you get. If I go back to the effect, for example, and go to number 1, which is a cathedral, and let's just say, wrong way. Okay, now I presume that has got some echo on it. Would I be right in assuming that?
Yeah. I would leave it with the plate. You don't need the cathedral effect. We're sort of we're sort of getting you're easily distracted, Dave, and it's starting to drive me nuts. Over.
Now, the point of the exercise wasn't to have different effects, to confirm to me that when I change the settings on there, that it actually does change the settings, and I'm not leading you up the garden path. So it does change the effect. So it's now back on 2, which is plate, and it's just a question of, I guess, of how much you alter that particular setting, Nick. Back to you.
Right, it's not called a mix, is it? It seems to be different to my unit. Mine's got an overall mix control, which I think it's sort of 0 to 100. But anyway, I'm just going to grab my Valium. I'll put it around to you, Bob. Go ahead.
Well, yes, that's a good idea. Dave, just before I push it over to Alan, Dave, my humble view is that virtualizer does not seem to be doing you too many favours, because a couple of overs ago, to my mind, it was really sounding very acceptable. And I did take, when it was sounding acceptable, I did take another little snip. So just have a listen to this and see what you think.
Which I think that probably will be a disaster, other than using the EQ as well in the transceiver. And that's very basic. It either has an emphasis on top end, bass, or from memory, it just does a flat thing. I mean, I haven't got the EQ in at all. I'm just trying to, I can't even remember what memory knows.
Well, there we are, Dave. I've even got a slight suspicion that there's a very slight difference in our frequencies. I'm dead on 27, and I'm just wondering if there might be, you get that sort of instinctive feel, there might just be a little bit of difference. But I wouldn't worry about that too much. It's really a question of if you felt that was fairly reasonable for you.
Hello, don't face it.
Yes, I'm not sure who that was. I've turned the virtualizer off now, so we are back to where we were. Well, Nick seems to think that it's because we set up the EQ and the expander and the compressor all a week or two back now. And it's only been the last week that I've had this virtualizer to try and put a bit of reverb in, and that seems to be what's causing the issue, it would seem. But yeah, it sounded, from what I could hear, it sounded acceptable, we'll say. I suppose it depends upon how good you want to get it, or how good you expect you're going to get it. But on the subject of audio in general, I mean, I tune across the bands, any of the bands cover that, and I hear audio that I just couldn't be bothered to actually listen to that station, not because it's not high fidelity audio, it's just that it's so hard on the ears that to work out what's being said, that I just give it a miss. So really what I'm trying to achieve is something that is fairly acceptable, fairly reasonable. I don't think that you would ever get it too much like what do they call it now, the high fidelity sideband, because it's being fed in on the mic socket on the front, and I think the people that go for that feed it in on the line at the back, and there is a few certainly a modification anyway, capacitors that are changed or something, so but yeah, you just try to get it as good as it can be, Bob. Back to you, G3MSL2E0TRF.
Well, I think as you have it at the moment, Dave. Sorry to Alan, I'll bring you in just a moment. As you've got it at the moment, Alan, that's very acceptable, I can assure you. I had a real good listen to that transmission of yours coming straight off my mini disc into a decent pair of Sennheiser headphones, and it's the quality, the overall quality is good. There is no distortion products. It's very clean. So you get into these murky waters, I'm afraid, Dave, of personal taste. So all I can say is electrically, I would say that you've got a pretty decent state of affairs. It all depends upon perhaps how other people like to hear it. I mean, I must admit, I do admire Nick's transmission. I have for years. It's always, but you never know, it might just be the voice as well. I mean, I know with my voice, I had a lot of trouble because I had this big sort of dip in the spectrum at around about 1 kc, and I've had to put in a lot of EQ with another little Behringer unit I've got here to augment. I've had to plug back about 7 to, well, maybe 8 or more dB in that region to even it up. So it's all very problematical, Dave.
Well, of course, what you don't know about Nick is that he has a whole different life doing voiceovers on the TV and radio and advertising, and thus this is why he sounds so good. Going to you, Nick. M0ITX2E0TRF.
M0ITX. Yeah, I had back on the old 11 meter days. This is going back to the 80s now. I was in my teens, and I had quite a fan base of late night listeners that would rather than grab their sleeping tablets, they'd just tune in to me late at night, and that used to work wonders apparently. So maybe I could probably do voiceovers for sleeping tablets, mattresses, that sort of thing. But there we are. Anyway, yeah, I like it. I like it the way it sounds. If you said to me, Dave, this is the 870, and I've got a nice desk mic or something on the end of it, and I'd say, yeah, that's kind of how it sounds. It sounds like a nicely set up, sort of standard, you might say, 870 sort of sound. But I still want to hear I still want to make that reverb work. I can't see any reason why it shouldn't. And yet I think we heard it briefly, didn't we, last night, Hugh, where you did wind it up a bit, and we could actually hear it. But I'd like to know what parameters you can actually change. You should, I think there's a pre-delay, and then there's a delay, and there's probably 4 or 5 settings, maybe 6 settings you can change. But I know you've been monitoring it in the headphones, but we don't actually get to hear much of it, Dave. So I think that's probably the next step, is to actually hear it and see if we can, make any adjustments there. Anyway, best put it round to Alan, as he'll be snoozing off G4 GPL M0ATX in the group.
Well, the truth is, Nick, I'm very much enjoying your transmission, and although I was thinking about sleeping, it did prove the point that you have the ability to be able to make people to sort of make them feel as if they want to hear more of you. So I think that you should continue on and make everybody happy. So Bob, I've been playing around with the with my recording machine. Let me tell you what I've got. Firstly, the recording system now works with the RTTY connection at the back of the DX10, where I can access the input, which is a constant input, and it also has the output as well, and of course the PTT. So all of that now is in line. I've been doing lots and lots and lots of tests, been monitoring myself quite a lot, not really being very happy about what I've done so far, but finally managing to get an improvement as things go along. Never to be able to compare with the system that you have, but at least it's given me a project to work on, and that's kept me off the streets, Bob. G3 MSL in the group, G4 GPL.
G0 PPU in group.
Yes, no. Just a second, yes, I've got all sorts of things going on. Yes, okay, Alan. Yes, and another station called in there. I think it's PPU who called in just the other day. They'll bring you in just a bit. Yes, it's sounding really nice now, Alan. And are you in a position to furnish me with a little of my transmission over?
Yes, I can. What I've done, I've taken snippets of all of everybody that's actually on, and I can do that. But it's going to take me about 45 seconds to switch it all over, because I've got to take the mic equalization out, and I've got to be able to monitor what's happening. So if you can give me just about 45 seconds, I won't come back. You'll just hear it in about 45 seconds. Is that acceptable? Go ahead.
Yes, okay, Alan, yes, that's fine. And a very good afternoon. I think it was you, Roy, who called in, G0 PPU. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Bob. And it is a wonderful afternoon. A little bit nippy, a little bit on the chilly side, but a beautiful evening. The sun's been out, the sky is clear, and everything is okay. Bob, your audio is absolutely fantastic. You have nothing or no need to worry about anything. And if my audio was half as good as yours, I would be very, very, very happy. G0 PPU, over.
Yes, okay. I'm just coming up for the time when I I should be getting a transmission from Alan, I think. 45 seconds should have gone, I think. It's sounding better than it certainly did when I first tuned in to you this afternoon. A lot of that echo has disappeared. I don't think that echo is doing you any favours at all, to be absolutely frank, Dave. But let me play this back to you, and then you can have a listen for yourself. So it's coming up now. Yeah. The mini disc into a good pair of headphones, and the overall quality actually sounds quite nice. You know, there's no distortion in there or what have you. So I think you've got a result from that point of view. So what do you think from the theatre? Now, is that back to me, I wonder?
Yep, back to you there, Bob. Go ahead.
Yeah, it came across reasonably well. I would say that you've got. I suspect you've got a lot of QRM. There was quite a lot of noise on it, huh?
Yes, there was. But can you mentally take away that noise? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not at all displeased with the overall sound. It's sounding much more pokey. I mean, I was having endless conversations with Nick that it was missing something. I think he politely said it had lost its cojones, as it were. But I think we've tried to put some of that back in. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, Bob's got his kahunas back. The recording was very much thinner. There was little. I wasn't hearing any low-end response. It was all quite sharp, well, quite tight, and obviously that heterodyne was really, kind of getting in the way. I wasn't sure if it was something that was being transmitted, through the recording itself, or whether it was band noise. It was hard to say, but I think you said it was QRM there, Alan. So yeah, it's you've got a much fuller sound than that recording, Bob. Go ahead.
Yes, I did wonder, Nick. I mean, I've recorded myself that many times, but I do know I've got quite a lot of low in there, which was not apparent on the recording, but no doubt that might be just a method of adjustment. You mentioned, incidentally, I think it was you mentioned, Dave, that about putting the audio in on the back of the radio. Well, because I've got a rack system here, I decided, when I was sort of designing the whole setup, I decided to do just that for a variety of reasons. First of all of the rack was generally producing line level outputs, sort of very typically sort of in the 100 millivolt range, whereas if you're trying to put it in on the mic, you have to be very careful because on most of these radios, the mic sensitivity lies in the region of about 5 millivolts also. But the other reason I did it was purely for convenience, because I've got all the cabling, the audio in and out for the recorder, and a lot of other things all goes in on the two accessory sockets on the back of the ICOM radio. So there we are. Anyway, it's all good stuff. So to whom it goes, I know not. I'll just pop it back to you, Nick, and perhaps you can pass it round from the theatre.
Yeah, okay, Bob. Yeah, I didn't get the call sign of the station that called in. In actual fact, I've managed to not pick up my pen and pad as I know everyone on here until that last station called in. But we best move it on. So I put it back round to whoever that was. I can't remember, and we'll sort of take it from there. M0AOV.
M0AOV. This is Golf 0 Papa Papa United. Name is Roy. Location is Kidderminster. The equipment is 7300, 100 watts into an inverted G5 RV. How's that for you?
Yeah, okay, Roy. Yeah, nice to hear you. Name here is Nick, as you probably gathered. I'm located on the Herts. No, I'm not. I used to be. I'm located on the Norfolk-Suffolk border, just a few miles south of Diss, roughly between Ipswich and Norwich. And you're about a 10 over 9 here, Roy. So sounding good on the good old 7300. Hard to go wrong with those. Go ahead.
Yes, it is hard to go wrong. A friend of mine came round the other day who has got a 7300 and he set the audio up for me. And from G0 PPU in Kidderminster, over.
Yeah, okay, Roy. G0 PPU M0AOV. You did briefly peak 20 over there, but steady 10. So yeah, that little antenna's working well for you. Yeah, it's hard to go wrong with the 7300, and they are very easy to set up. Unlike some of the other radios out there these days, I think you've got about 3 settings: bass, treble, bandwidth, and away you go. And sounds very natural. Yeah, very nice natural sound. And I think that you said your mate set it up to your voice, which and yeah, that sounds exactly what I'm hearing. Okay, I'll put it round to Dave. I don't think Dave's spoken recently, so round to you, Dave. 2E0 TRF M0ATX.
M0ATX and company. Yes. To you, Bob, with regard to feeding the audio in the back, I did consider that, and I did consider doing the modification to the 870 for that purpose. But what put me off, and that's not a big thing, is that you can't. You have to key the rig off from that socket. So then you have to make provision for a switch to key it up. At the moment, what I do is I use a button on the front of the rig. There is a transmit button on the front of the rig, and it's nice and convenient. But apparently that doesn't work if you feed the audio in on the rear end. So I thought, well, it's just another hassle. And like I said earlier, I suppose it comes down to what you're trying to achieve. I'm not really trying to achieve sort of, hi-fi SSB, but you still want to make it as good as it can be. And for the benefit of you, Nick, because that unit is switched out at the moment, I will switch it back in. It is on the plate setting. It's not up as high as it could be. As I said, you do a variation from 0 to 32, and it's currently on 20. The only other thing I could drop in is, which is on the virtualizer, is the low EQ, but I think we've decided now that unless you know otherwise, the bass was okay. I mean, I can set that all the way down there. But, so I'll take the EQ on the virtualizer off, and that just comes back to the reverb setting on the plate setting as you recommended. So maybe that tells you all you need to know, Nick. I'll put it back to you just quickly to comment, and then you can pass it around to somebody else. M0ATX 20TRF and company.
Yeah, that was that was different, Dave. That was quite extreme. Very deep echo, very long sustain. So obviously the delays are far too long, and possibly the mix, the actual level, it might be a bit high. I don't know. So we'll move it round, but maybe next time, next transmission, reduce your delay, sustain, whatever they call it, decay, maybe. They need to be nice and short, but they're quite long. Sounded like you were at the bottom of sounded like you were shouting from the end of a cathedral or something. It's never been that severe. So whether something's suddenly happened, or whether it's just because you've wound things up, I don't know. But it's obviously working now. It's definitely working. We know that. Right. I think it probably goes around to Alan, doesn't it? G4 GPL M0ATX.
Thanks very much, Nick. Appreciate that. Nice to hear everybody. And G0PPU, your 7300, Roy, sounds very nice indeed. As was said, there's never ever going to be a better microphone for that rig other than the one that came with it. People I know do try to produce audio with different microphones. They do sound different on the 7300, but in my opinion nothing sounds as good as the mic that normally comes with it, except in exceptional circumstances, of which we could talk about for quite some time. And Dave, interesting on your audio, your reverberation, your echo, etc. Fascinating and interesting, and couldn't keep people entertained for ages, I'm sure. But all good. And by the way, your audio, when you were transmitting, not this last occasion, but of course, but before then, sounded very good indeed. And just in case we haven't spoken before, my call sign is G4GPL. You've got that. Name is Alan. The QTH is Borehamwood. Thank you, by the way, for giving me some feedback, and Nick and Bob on the audio. I know that it's thin, and that's been bothering me for some time. And I'm not sure whether that is because of the bandwidth on the RTTY section or not. But what I will be doing is trying to introduce some kind of a passive tone control, which there are a number of them around, which 10 a penny or so, with treble, bass, and etc. And see whether that has any effect at all. Both either on the receive audio, record audio, or on the transmitted audio. But the level seems to be okay. It's just the thinness of it. Oh, back to you there, Bob, from G4GP on the group.
Yes, okay. I'm G4GPL on the group. G3MSL returning. Well, it does take quite a time, Alan, to sort out these things. I've spent hours and hours and hours trying to get some semblance of order with this lot, and I keep on tweaking things and changing things, but certainly in my case, the recorder is there is no sort of tonal correction. Well, you can't. There's just nothing on the Sony mini disc that you can do to condition what comes out of it. It's exactly how it comes off the disc. And there's also no conditioning at all in the radio. So in other words, where there's no compression, the whole passband is flat out of the radio. So the recorder is completely outside my EQ loop. It's got nothing to do. It's completely detached from the rack. And on just one point there, it's so easy to get sometimes with earth loop problems. So what I do have in circuit here is a commonly known as a ground breaker box, which is nothing more nor less than an isolation transformer that sits between the rack equipment and the input to the radio. So, I did a little test the other day. If I take the microphone lead out of the radio and just let the gains come up, all you hear is just background hiss. You don't hear any hum or anything because there's no ground loops involved. So that's another little thing I decided to do to help things along a bit. Also, it helps with, if you did have any RF issues, it's another little weapon, as it were, to help that along as well. So there we go. Anyway, Dave, yes, yes, what you did there was, I don't quite know what the right word is really, but it was impressive on the one hand, but totally impractical on the other. It didn't contribute one jot to the quality of the transmission, I'm afraid. No, the transmission itself, Dave, without that unit in, is sounding good. It's also looking good, so you're very close to getting wherever you want to be and whatever that is. But I can only speak from a technical viewpoint and what I can see here through the instrumentation on the radio and obviously just the way I like hearing things. But it sounds pretty good now, Dave, much better than it did in the last couple of days, if I may say so. That's any help. So what's the time? 29 minutes past 5. So what do we do? Let's put it over to you, Roy, and see what you're thinking about it all. But yes, your 7300 sounds fine. Looking at the spectrum trace, it looks nice and even right across the spectrum. No nasties, no roll-offs, no this, no that. Very typical of a good 7300, one of which I have myself. And I quite agree with Alan. The stock mic is amongst probably the best that ICOM have ever produced. On some of the earlier ICOMs, they were very, very spitchy and narrow and not very nice at all. And Yaesu had a lot of similar things to their MH31. That was a pretty poor microphone, really, by today's standards. Anyway, so there it is, Roy. Let me just bring the log up again. Yeah. So over to you. G0PPU to take it in the group G3MSL.
M0CLJ.
Another one from. Hello. Great.
Yes, G0PPU in the group. Well, when I purchased this radio, a friend of mine who has set the radio up is a sound engineer, and he spends a lot of time messing with microphones, etc. He used to purchase his microphones, or he had something to do with a chap called Ray Withers in Birmingham area. He used to manufacture microphones. Anyways, I digress. But he came round because he's a friend of mine, and he said, I'll set that up for you, Roy. He said, but try and get yourself a Sierra mic 30. He says, they're desk mics. You can use those. You can press a button and it'll stay transmitting, or you can have it on the press button, but it'll leave you hands-free. And your 7300 absolutely loves them. So that's what I've done. I got the Sierra mic 30, and I've got it on the desk. It's about, I should think, a foot away from my mouth. So that's about as wide as a road. And I'm happy with the reports that I'm getting. So back to the group from G0PTU in Kidderminster. Over.
Yes, okay, Roy. Well, it's sounding fine. And I'll tell you what, the spectrum trace is looking very good. It's really nice and full, nice and flat, right across the 3 kilohertz passband. So my ears pricked up incidentally, Roy, when you mentioned Ray Withers. I used to know Ray quite well. I went to his home on several occasions to talk about some business issues he was involved with at the time. But yes, I got to know him. I went to his funeral when it was on, met up with all his old friends, and ICOM, the chief guys at ICOM came along, and it was quite an affair, Roy. Over?
Yes, I've been to his house a number of times. and I got on quite well with Kim. It was a, I just, well, I'm stuck for something to say about Ray. He was a smashing bloke. He knew his stuff. I went up to where he first lived, and he had the mast running through his ceiling in his attic, and it was an Armstrong Siddeley, and he used to turn the mast round. And then, of course, he moved over to where I used to live, just outside Redditch, and I went over there a few times to his aerial farm, and I helped him construct and disconstruct some of his antennas. Anyway, that's as much as I can say about Ray, apart from the fact he was a smashing bloke, a really nice, helpful bloke. He lent me a radio a couple of times. Very, very decent chap. From G0PPU, over.
Yes, absolutely, Roy. Yes, he's a very nice chap, and you must, when you were doing the dismantling, you no doubt came across John, did you? G3 Whiskey Mike?
The call sign seems to ring a bell. Yeah, I'm not going to swear to it, but the call sign certainly rings a bell.
Yes, he and Ray were good buddies, and of course he was a frequent attendee to the 1933 net, which has been very popular. It's getting a bit thin on the ground now, unfortunately, but there's still one or two old stalwarts there, old Eric, G3IMX and others, and John comes up now and again. Anyway, enough from me because time is marching on, so let's hear from Graham to say hello from G3MSL.
Yeah, G3MSL, M0 Cell Channel. Yeah, good evening all. All sounding very, very good, all good 5 and 9 pluses. And yeah, as soon as I heard that name, Ray Withers, never knew him, but I knew of him, and I thought to myself, my goodness, that was a name from the past, and I'm sort of going back many, many years. Yeah, right. Well, no, I only just knew of him, never ever met him. I don't think I ever met him. But there again, I don't know. He used to frequent a shop at Wimbledon Chase. I bought some radio equipment there of many, many years ago. The life I'm trying to think of the name of it. And I think I see him there. I think he popped into the shop because the person who owned the shop knew him very well. So it might have seen him then. But anyway, other than that, that's all I can say there. But I'm sorry to hear that he's not about anymore. No, I did. I thought to myself, my goodness, that's a name from the past. Right, other than that, no, all good signals, all sounding good. Alan, have you altered your audio? Because I didn't think it was you at first, but it seems a little bit different than what it was yesterday and previous days. So I don't know, unless it's my ears, but I've got nothing turned on to create any alterations on receive audio, but it seems to have a lot of bottom end in there. But anyway, I could be wrong. But it sounded very nice anyway. It really just didn't sound like you as such. But anyway, right, that's my bit for a start, and so I'll pass it round to wherever it's got to go. Not too certain, but I'll just throw it up in the air from M0, Charlie and Lima Golf.
I wonder if I can take it just to reply to Graham from G4GPL. Good evening to you, Graham, and I've got many apologies to make to you because things went haywire on occasions when we were last in contact on for the last two occasions. I had problems with the 77s rig, and I also had problems with trying to sort this problem out with this new project that I'm working on. The project is much in progress, has already been demonstrated to some extent. This is the recording feature, but still work to be done on it to get it right. And that what I have to achieve is to alter the bandwidth on. Yes, you're absolutely right. I've changed the audio. The audio is pretty well back to how it was when I originally set it up. You may remember that I saved all the settings on the SD card. initially when I was happy with everything. So fortunately I was able to bring all of that back and to make a slight adjustment, and that's where it is at the moment, Graham. So just briefly back to you, and I think it goes to Bob. Graham, over.
Yeah, okay, fine, Alan. Right, okay, that answers it all. And as I say, it does sound nice. I do like it. It's definitely different to what it was, and what we've been listening to just lately. But yeah, fine. That answers the question there and my query, Alan. So yeah, it does sound nice. Anyway, with that, I'll pass it back there to Bob. G3MSL M0AOV.
Yeah, from the MSL. Yeah, I've really had my £4, so I'm going to pass it around. But yeah, it's safe to say that, yeah, that transmission now, Alan, is really sounding good. I can hear the nice, some nice rounded lows in there. You've got plenty of highs. It's all looking, the spectrum trace says a lot, really. It's nice and, it's a little bit of a rise at the top end, but that's what you want anyway, to a degree, for readability and such like. So I think it's all right. Anyway, enough from me. So what about, put it over to Dave, because Dave, I don't think Dave's had a go for a bit. So over to you, Dave, from G3MSL.
G3MSL and company 20TRS. Yes, good afternoon, Graham, and also you, Alan. I've got your details written down, so all is noted. I better turn that out for a minute. I've just realised that's still in that virtualizer. Yes, I could come on, couldn't I, and do the, this is the voice of the Mr. Rons, or something like that, couldn't I, with that echo going? But I will, I am trying to sort of get my head around the unit a little more. The manual for it is on the internet, but it's got too many. Well, I say too many buttons. I think more the point is that you use one sort of jog wheel, as they call them, to select so many different parameters, whereas the one that Nick's got, he's got about 4 different controls that he can alter to get the effect he wants, whereas I have to sort of press buttons and turn the wheel and then press another button and turn the wheel some more, and that's how it goes on. But yes, at this point I'm going to leave you gentlemen to carry on. I'm going to now consider what's for dinner tonight. I also better go and check that the log burner hasn't gone out, otherwise I've got to relight it, which is a pain. But nice talking to you all. So I'll just switch that back in again for the benefit of you, Nick. I have turned down the parameters by about half, so it won't sound like it did before, or at least it shouldn't do. And you can make up your mind about it. M0ITX 2E0TRF.
Yeah, okay, Dave. Yeah, it's still very strong, and it kind of dominates, and your voice sort of takes second stage, you might say. You obviously need to back off a fair bit. As I say, there's too much. The sustain, decay, delay, whatever you want to call it, is just too long. You can hear it for a few seconds, or at least 2 or 3 seconds, I would say, sort of ringing in the background. So it just needs to be much tighter, almost, so it's not very obvious at all. It's a very subtle effect once you get it sorted there, Dave. So I'll let you think about that. But right, I'm going to close down as well now. Time's getting on, and I could do a bit of washing up. So gives me a quarter of an hour to wash up before phoning the old fella, see how he is. So right, I'll wish you 7-3 then, Dave, and as I say, I'm sure we get there eventually. but I'll put it over to Graham actually, as I've not had a word with Graham, but I'll be on my way. Trust all is well with you, Graham. I think you were about 20 over 9 here, so nice strong signal into the Suffolk-Norfolk border. M0CLG, M0ITX.
Yeah, good evening to you there, Nick. M0ITX, M0CLG. And to Dave there, you're sort of 10 over 9. And for Dave, who's still listening, it sounds as if you're in a church. Make a jolly good sermon, and you'll be heard far and wide, high and low, and back to front, and what have you, and probably underground as well. But interesting, very interesting. But yeah, okay, fine, then, Nick. You're 20, 25 over 9. As I guess that is normal. It really is. It's not often it's any different than that, unless conditions are really bad between us. But anyway, good to hear there. All is well here. And for Dave's sake, the location, if you're still listening, is a place called Worcester Park, North Surrey, or Surrey, North Surrey. About 3 miles from where they run the Epsom Derby horse race. It's just up the road from us. And you don't go out on Derby Day, you stay indoors. But anyway, there we are. And for Dave, they're using a Yaesu FTDX 101 MP, and the microphone is a pod mic from Rode, and no outboard equipment other than an arch tube amp, which gives me input and output, gain in and gain out, and nothing else. Everything's all what's inside the radio. So there we are. Right. Yeah. Okay. All is fine there, Nick. Not been too bad today weather-wise. Sun was quite warm until it sort of dropped down, but it's been a pleasant day to a degree. Other than that, not really anything else to mention. Oh, I made some inquiries regarding an ICOM radio, but I phoned up and no one really wanted to allow me to speak to the person who I wanted to speak to. And so we'll see what occurs between now and, well, up to about 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. It does annoy me when you phone back. I'll pass a message on and send an email and all this sort of thing. Anyway, there we are. Won't mention any names or whatever, but I'll let everybody have a guess. Anyway, good to hear there, Nick. And as I say, you do sound superb as normal. M0ITX, M0CLG.
Yeah, okay, Graham. Oh, I wonder what that's all about. An ICOM, eh? Fancy a new toy, perhaps. I bought an ICOM last week. It's about 20. Well, I think it's at least 25 years old. Probably a bit more, I'd have thought. It's an old VHF, UHF multi-mode, and also had the option of 23 SEMs and 13 SEMs as well. But that's a very impressive piece of kit, actually. Same size as the 7800, and uses the same rack handles, so it gives you an idea of the size of the thing. But a wonderful receiver, yeah, excellent. If you're into VHF and UHF though, and it seems most are not these days, unfortunately. But anyway, so yeah, I've been playing around with that for a few days. It's a classic, quite rare ICOM, that. So I've loved them for 20 years plus, but they've only just last few years I've started seeing one or two on the market, so people are eventually finally getting rid. But anyway, yeah, I wish you luck with whatever it is you're up to with that ICOM there, Graham, and yeah, hope you get the conclusion you're hoping for. Anyhow, I wish you 7-3. Best put it round to Roy if he's still there. But as I say, I really need to to go, so I think I'll make this the final. So I wish everybody a very good evening, and catch up with you all soon again, I'm sure. I'll leave it with you, Roy, if you're still there. G0PPU M0ITX. Good night, all.
Yeah, can I just quickly jump in there?
Yeah, G0PPU still here.
Yeah, can I, Nick, I know what it is you bought. Your description was absolutely superb. Hope we're not doubling. No? Right. If the front panel is a bit damaged, I've got a brand spanking new one. I bought the last one that ICOM had many years ago because I had the same machine as what you just purchased, and so I know what it is you got, and my goodness, you got the best of the best. There's no doubt about it. It is absolutely incredible, that. But no, I've got a brand new front panel for it. If it is damaged, scratched or anything like that, other than the fact it's got the H at the end of the number instead of an E, and of course the H stands for high power. But anyway, just quickly back to you there, Nick, if I may.
Yeah, I'll collect it in the morning if that's all right, Graham. Yeah, that would be brilliant, actually. Fantastic. And this is an H, so apparently they're quite easy to change over as well. But I mean, it is tidy. Yeah. There's just one or two marks on the sort of the top edge, you know, the bezel, I think they call it. And there's a little scratch down by where the rack handles mount. I was actually going to whip the case off, and I'm going to give that a blast and then a paint. There's one or two scuffs on that. But yeah, that would be brilliant, Graham. I can email you, or you can email me, and we can sort something out. Go ahead.
Yeah, all you need to do is just drop us the address, email address, and I'll sort of wrap it up well and send it off to there, Nick. That's no problem. It's just sitting here doing nothing. And I don't know whether you can get the front screen, because the screen's replaceable. ICOM might still have some, but I bought one for mine got some years, going back many years. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it is yours. If you like it, then fair enough. Just wish us an email with the address, and I'll get it off to you in the next few days there, Nick. Over.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I'm more than happy to give you something for it. Obviously, what I was going to say, is it an easy job? And I'm assuming the buttons are actually all part of the front panel, or is it separate over?
All the buttons and knobs are all separate. How easy it is to change it, I've no idea. Because I was going to change.
Golf Echo India GW0 GEI CQDX Germany Washington 0 Germany Echo India GW0 Golf Echo Italy GW0 GEI CQDX. Over.
But yeah, I'm glad I mentioned it.
Ich habe vieles nicht gewusst, vor allen Dingen wie schwierig das Programm.
The rest of the guys finish up, so I'll drop you a line later, Graham. Cheers for now.
Okay, cheers for now then, Nick, and sorry there, Roy.
For 17 metres, I've got a case for 20 metres, I've got a case for 80 metres, and I've got a case for 40 metres. And I did have one for 160, which was amazing, but of course extremely difficult.
Wenn ich mit dem rumfunke, dann habe ich sie eigentlich öfters mal.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Kilo Zebra, Victor.
Ortodoxa é uma religião muito parecida com a religião católica.
Вроде как уже куда-то, у меня третьего варианта нету.
Il est une antenne Titanex, une antenne allemande de la Titanex.
On prend l'ensemble l'éternité et c'est à 50 km.
And I wish you 73, and many thanks for speaking to my station, and I hope to copy again on the near future here on the band, on this or other bands in amateurs. I wish you 73 and have a nice rest of day. Papa Delta 0, Papa Echo, Charlie 09, Alpha Bravo Sierra 73.
Bye, please. Okay, GG, thank you much.
Ich mal noch eine Antenne gekauft, die will ich im Frühjahr jetzt, wenn es ein bisschen wärmer ist, mal aufbauen, so eine.
Yeah, good evening to whoever said good evening. Yeah, he does. And have 23 SEMs and 3 SEMs and receive module and I think that's about it. Alan, over.
Is it everything in one box?
Yeah, I think the receive module, you either have the receive one or the other, but yeah, the whole lot is all in one box, and it's a big box, Alan, over.
Very good.
Who is the breaker? Go ahead.
That is I from West Wales, GW0EIK.
Oh my goodness, GW0EIK. Good to hear you, Julian. I had to rush away the other day. Didn't have a chance to talk to you at all.